General Petraeus arrives a little early in his office this morning, anxious to see if there's another DMC War Room Camp intelligence brief. Rithula is a digital sniper genius at quantum mechanics warfare. Physics, economics, security, setting geopolitical policy, psychology. Psychology. He's come up with his own psychology programs, his own physics programs, his own macroeconomics programs, his own chess security origami programs, and he's come up with a fresh geopolitical policy for the world order. What we're looking at this morning is a psychology science origami offensive that happens inside of a matrix. Now this human aircraft carrier origami offensive invisible weapons system has got a skyscraper warfare program seamlessly built inside of the third eye in the brain's cognitive thought process. Now, the skyscraper port program has got 5 floors, and the interesting part of the skyscraper program is it's got an elevator that runs through the center of the 5 floors. So if you can imagine, you have a building with 5 stories with an elevator inside of it. That forms a 5-star program. Shaping on any one of those folding stars requires loading it with a psychology science formulas that work with all 5 energy field floors. But in this case, what they're doing is every single field leads the 5 individual programs. So for example, on the 5th floor, the folding star would be led by quantum psychology physics. On the 4th floor, the folding star would be led by quantum physics. On the 3rd floor, the folding star would be led by macroeconomics. On the 2nd floor, you would have an origami security warfare program, and on the 1st floor, you would have a policy systemization program empowering existing policy so that you can create shape and change in language and policy. Now to explore this further, what we'd have to do is look at this from a counterintelligence security point of view. The program is a DMC brain attack science formula matrix. So when we look at this skyscraper, what we're seeing is on the edges of the skyscraper at the very bottom, you have a crossroads program and a crosshairs program. And you have an outcome program with detail on the right hand side beside the folding star on the left hand side of the skyscraper. The objective is to shape the energy field deep inside of the brain's entire skyscraper formula. Now this skyscraper formula is created for a human being or a department of human beings. The objective is to change the human being, put anchors inside of the person, rituals, metaphors that they create through ideas and decisions when you're finished, and associations. So when they flow through the world in association, they generate the metaphor because they're anchored with specific rituals. Now inside of the DMC War Room matrix, they go a little further than that, and what they're doing is they're mixing each one of those 5 fields as a warfare program. For example, the psychology science program would have certain booby traps that would be sitting inside of the quantum jungle. And what you have are a series of corridors that you walk through inside of this quantum jungle created by the DMC War Room camp. Your decisions, how you create your ideas are gonna change. Because what you're gonna face inside of a warfare camp operation, first of all, is a fainting program. And that fainting program is fear. So for example, your target may have fear of you and they're going to channel that fear of you and they're going to point it in a specific direction. In the case of the DMC warfare camp, they chose thinking fear a small child as a psychological example. So when they looked at the police officer, they felt fear. When they looked at the small child, they felt fear. When they looked at a school bus, they felt fear. When they drove through a school zone, they felt fear. They anchored themselves in a specific way, so this formula came out naturally inside of their psychosis and personality. The behavior shift was quite simple for the DMC warfare camp to do because they were in a guerrilla warfare training program with the existing police services inside of that community. So the candidate Rithula created fear in his mind, and that's a natural. Now that creates fainting like a goat that falls over, because what it does is it faints the brain into a reversal position. The person does not have a disorder. They have a fear of you and a fear of specific situations that you would hunt and attack them in with your overzealous behavior created by the fear stimulated inside of your mind as you use counterintelligence and surveillance on that specific individual. So what we're looking at in the DMC War Room Camp is not only fainting, which can brain reverse you on a daily basis, but we're looking at a program that ran for 8 years on a daily basis during a training program running simultaneously named Treadston, which also ran for 8 years. It was a banter program in warfare science. Created a specific language in dark matter energy, generating more power than the average person could generate. A bruiser program. Something brutal that would take you apart through banter and confrontation. And what we're looking at is a booby trap, because what we found was a mastermind blockchain system. And after 8 years of training in the DMC War Room Camp, they decided to change their tactics, and they brought out advanced formulas and computer singularity, quantum mechanics, neuro-linguistic programming, psycho-cybernetics, macroeconomics engineering, and corporate warfare. And they evolved these 5 formulas in a 5-tier warfare system. Pushing the Treadstone members to learn that, the existing science that took the DMC War Room Camp 40 years to acquire. So as the 2-year program was initiated, developed and launched, the homeland defense and security around the existing systems could be empowered and changed and strengthened. However, during this process, the people in the Treadston program that would want to graduate into that program were put under incredible duress and stress and pressure, because they had to compete with the DMC War Room Camp that is a master in all 5 fields. He was laying in the reeds waiting for 8 years to launch a program with all of his advanced 5-tier systems. So as we generate our cookie cutter in psychology sciences and push our personnel, they have the wrong language. They don't have a positive energy language using love, faith, understanding, peace, happiness, joy. They have a different understanding. Lust, greed, anger, hatred, revenge, frustration. So as these 2 policies and languages and psychology sciences collide in the brain, it creates energy. A chemistry mix inside of the brain like a molasses. And as this molasses heats up with all 5 of these fields, computer singularity, quantum mechanics, neuro-linguistic, psycho-cybernetics, macroeconomics engineering, corporate warfare. The specific candidate has to become an expert in that specific field in a period of 30 days. This explosion of a new language training and these 5 fields pushing this overachiever-driven, high-caliber agent to the max. And as this agent is pushed to the max to succeed, the intelligence flow continues out of the DMC War Room Camp. Daily intelligence, they have to learn and accumulate on a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week basis. This forces the brain to become an expert in those 5 fields in a matter of 30 days, which is virtually impossible. So the brain starts to defragment. Because it's been reversed, it's already fighting a program and fainting. So as this vision is blurred and the pressures increase, the brain then decides it must have a self-protection mechanism, and it must listen to this driver inside of this psychology science's human being, and it develops personalities. Because the person would have to have a personality that actually was a corporate warfare person. A personality that would have to be a macroeconomic engineer. A personality that would have to be a neurolinguistics, psycho-cybernetics expert. A personality that would have to be a quantum mechanics expert, and a personality that would have to be a computer singularity expert. And they would have to compete at the level of the DMC War Room Camp brought to the table. As they're under stress and pressure and duress, the brain starts to shake, shiver, and it starts to defragment. and a personality pops into this person's mind. And that personally might be someone that specifically deals with corporate warfare. But they do not have the skill sets. So the answers they're giving you are not qualified answers. It's one step into madness. And as you push the brain further and further, what you're looking at is people that must do everything from scratch. You must move everything inside of your third eye by yourself, because if you use these multiple personalities as a staff system to move things around in your brain, you are generating multiple personality. So you have to do the heavy lifting yourself. You have to do everything in your own third eye. If you're a leader in corporate warfare and management, you're used to hiring and dedicating people that are experts to handle specific challenges. So now you're fighting the natural training you're given in corporate science and psychology inside of your mind. So what you're going to do is a staff as a multiple personality program, if you create this in your imagination. You need to work inside of your human aircraft carrier alone. You do everything as an entity while your brain also functions an exterior warfare program facing the DMC war room camp. Now should you be able to handle this as an entity, then you would be able to start to operate your human aircraft carrier inside of your third eye. But should your brain be built backwards through fainting, picking the wrong idea, decision, through multiple personality generation, defragmenting the brain. You come to the table as a warrior facing a Warlock 26 operations agenda. An expert, a surgeon that wields a scalpel in the form of a coloring book, and he uses the energy of a flip-it operation, which is your attack on him flipped, colored and then sculptured the way he desires. So the objectives of the program is to create mental illness. It's a percolator inside of the human brain. Through language modification and negative behavior programs promoting lust, greed, anger, hatred, revenge and frustration, you start to develop SAD, which is your problem around cloudy days, and then the depression and the anger sets in because your base language is specifically anchored in those specific rituals and patterns. As you have trouble dealing with this, a mania starts to happen because you have to kickstart your brain and you have to push it. And as you push this broken brain down a track, you start to develop a bipolar personality. In other words, you get really smart but you're a fire starter and you create more problems than you solve. And you slowly move into manic. Well, manic? And it's manic depression. So as you fight manic depression, you start to develop grandeur and you become grandiose. Because you and your personalities that can't accomplish anything believe you can do something that you can't, and you fail daily at living life. And as your multiple personalities start to communicate with you because you're so alone, your schizophrenia grows inside of your brain. So what we're looking at is a lethargy program, because the DMC war room camp does make you not so mentally ill that you end up in a hospital. They teach you to avoid the hospital. They teach you ways to make sure that you stay out of a mental illness hospital for treatment. And what they do is they create the brain reverse multiple personality, insanity disorder. A criminal insanity disorder inside of your brain. So as you lead your programs inside of your existing forces that depend on your leadership, you train them and erode them in mental illness. Guilty by association. Because they must listen to command. So in the DMC war room camp, their objective is to take out the senior command. And they do that through counterintelligence programs like the OWL. The generals have analyzed this program, and they can see how psychology sciences can work with a folding star with an existing skyscraper. What concerns them is they've only scratched the surface. Because what they're looking at is the fifth floor of a warfare skyscraper matrix. The generals have got a concerned look on their face as they hit send on the computer. General Petraeus' team and General Frank's team are teaming up on this next intel brief on the DMC War Room. It's step 2 of a 5-step digital snipers operation. Step 1 was the 5-tier system with the quantum psychology physics, covering the 5-folding star program inside of the 5-floor tower. We discovered in the last meeting that quantum psychology of physics, developed by Rithala, was leading the quantum physics, quantum macroeconomics, origami security, chess, and the quantum policy, finally shape-shifting Earth-universe energy operations programs. The next phase of the program is what happens if quantum physics leads the program. And quantum physics leads the quantum psychology, and quantum physics leads the macroeconomics and the origami security chess and the quantum policy Earth-universe macroeconomic operations. And as we explore this idea, we look at the DMC War Room Intel brief. Its blockchain, and what they're doing is they're combining this with quantum mechanics to create the quantum psychology physics, and the blockchain represents people, and the quantum mechanics represents physics. And this operation in fuzzy logic occurs in the third eye of the human being, and what we're looking at is a quantum mechanics operation, where in psychology sciences, they've penetrated that human brain, and they sit in the third eye. But now what we're looking at is the folding star inside of the brain. Crystal theory operational in a psychology science formulas penetrated inside of your third eye. And this folding star is a different formula because what it has is a shell of tetrahedron triangles. And the tetrahedron triangle self-perpetuates eternally into the universe. But what we have is a cluster of tetrahedron triangles forming in essence, a ball, but it wouldn't be in the shape of a ball, but we have a circle to deal with so we can understand the diagram. Now in this diagram, we would have string theory connecting the human being to the universe energy fields flowing in and around the brain's thinking process. Now string theory would represent all of the lines in that circular formula, all of the lines around the folding stars. All the lines around the tetrahedron triangles, and that's going to be the string theory in the equation. Behavior created by energy. Energy mixing the quantum soup, which is the crystal theory, loading the folding star, which is also building a quantum brain's IQ working hand in hand with your brain's energy flowing into a quantum mechanics reactor. As this energy field gets loaded into the ball, it turns into a cell, an energy cell. That energy cell we can shape and form by combining this with blockchain mastermind. So what we've done is we're combining crystal theory with the tetrahedron ball, and then we're taking that ball and we're selling it as a blockchain mastermind program. We're going to inject strand theory all over that ball. We're gonna have lines. And those lines in strand theory are the operations, the leapfrog, the quantum leap, the energy and the action taken. So it's your operation in essence, and energy flowing. And then you have a ball on the end of that line, and that's dial theory. Because we're going to be working with all 5 fields as we shape the dial theory, which will shape the strand theory in 5 base point different operation. So in essence, we're going to be playing with anchors, rituals, metaphors, associations. We'll be playing with policy, security, economics, physics, psychology, and that's dial theory. So you're going to be using a variety of techniques, strategies, and systems in the dial theory. And then that operation in energy just forms an invisible wave, which is called strand theory, and it takes a quantum leap and penetrates the string theory embryo. And that string theory embryo are the lines around a tetrahedron triangle. And inside that quantum soup, you have crystal theory flowing, and we load the folding star inside of our safe rooms and skyscraper warfare programming. We have 5 floors of 5 operations and 5 different fields of energy, and above the umbrella in the skyscraper warfare program, we have an energy field, and that energy field is this crystal ball with tetrahedron triangles. And that dial theory, Now because we are playing with the DMC War Room Camp, their blockchain mastermind program involves the Golden Goose, the Watchmaker, the Engineer, the Scout, the Shoemaker, the Keymaker. All these programs represent specific fields of strategy and systemization, and they work with all the different fields of policy, security, economics, physics, and psychology. So the Keymaker would work with all 5 of those fields, as would the Shoemaker, as would the Empower the Engineer, the Scout, or the Golden Goose. And remember, in the psychology sciences in the third eye, you must do all the lifting yourself. You cannot bring in people inside of your brain to work on the inside of your mind, because that's multiple personality. You have to do the heavy lifting mentally internally inside your brain. And then you'll be working with exterior operations where, yes, you can bring in support staff and teams inside your exterior warfare operations that are run daily through the DMC War Room Camp empowerment operations. So as we see these strand theory operations in play, what we're looking at is the blockchain mastermind. So your objective on the left-hand side of this cluster of tetrahedrons is going to have an outcome which would be on the other side of the crystal ball of tetrahedrons. So you have an objective and an outcome, policy objectives, security objectives, economic objectives, physics objectives, and psychology objectives. And remember, this is designed to target the human brain. So as we're working in these physics and science and psychology operations, what we're looking at is an entity of energy fields that has the ability to shape-shift the psychosis inside of the human brain. So once we get into these operations a little bit deeper, what we have is the flip-it operations, which is the coloring book, which is the mental butter knives and digital scalpels for the human art created. And what we're going to be doing is we have another 5-floor skyscraper, and this 5-floor skyscraper has got peace empowerment at the top. Mutual victory on the first floor is peace empowerment. The second floor is mutual victory. The third floor is mutual integration. The fourth floor is mutual accumulation, and the fifth floor is mutual occupation. And these are policies and ideas and theories form strategies. Then you have the operations play that go with the peace empowerment, which was Treadstone, mutual victory, which is Blackbriar, mutual integration, which is Iron Hand, and mutual accumulation, which is Handbrake, and then mutual occupation, which is Blindside, because you're fighting that person inside your third eye. It's blind. It's a blindside fight. The country corporations. So you're gonna have country corporations on one side of the skyscraper, country corporations on the other side of the skyscraper. And these are the brains that you're going to engage with using these programs and operations, because you have to find your target somewhere, and the target may as well be in the safe room. From a DMC perspective, it's both sides of the safe room skyscraper structure. From your perspective, you would be on one side of the skyscraper or the other, and then you would have your Outlook directory at the bottom, coming up with the subatomic ideas that would be working with the strategies of 5 + 9 = 99, with the addition of 5 = 7, the propaganda and music fields. And above that all, or below that, is the crosshairs and the crossroads programs, which are the subatomic programming systems. So as these corporations put people behind those companies and they get into safe rooms and you start to engage with them, one skyscraper program to the other, you soon realize that your subatomic ideas and your subatomic strategies are going to shape the language inside of the skyscraper program. And as that language is shaped, you're stopping crime before it starts, because crime is derivative of a dark matter energy language. The generals pause for a moment and realize they've pretty much had enough of this intelligence brief, and they've decided to hit send on the computer and send the report along back into the agency and the Pentagon, and see what they come up with. General Petraeus hits send on the computer. General Petraeus has been going over the notes in the DMC war camp, and he can see the opportunity for Mexico to work with the USA and Canada on this program, Narcotics Revitalization Program. North American Homeland Defense Narcotics Revitalization Program. Or in this case we may say a different scenario, and Mexico may want to deal with fellow Spanish language patriots they trust and go it alone with their narcotics revitalization, digital revitalization Silk Road in Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, and Cuba. Challenges are an opportunity to rise above your existing situation, to capitalize on more business, expanding your GDP, tourism and trade. You have to be a little bit creative in your marketing, in your macroeconomics, but as we get into the programs in macroeconomics, we're starting to understand the DMC Intel report. In fact, we have 3 of the reports to review. We see exactly what the DMC camp is up to, courtesy of our brothers in the agency. Without their support and help, our North America wouldn't be as safe as it is today. The general looks at his files, their DMC intelligence audio files, and decides to hit the play button. You see, Big Boss, in the world of narco, what we're looking at is everybody gonna make the same money they always have. However, we are going to strengthen the security and inertia power to expand the cartel. Nobody's gonna charge extra cash on the narco trade if this whole thing goes legal. They're only gonna be able to charge exactly the same amount that you received for a key. So there's no cash or increase in cartel power this way. Everything's gotta be even a little bit sharper price if you go that way. So we want to keep the narco game the same. Everybody makes the same cash and holds the same power. The only difference is now the narco industry have the police for security. And narco doesn't lose shipments. So when you add up your security costs and your shipment loss costs, you're making extra. But you don't, because you don't charge more than you did for the key that you're making today. And then it's fair because you no longer must hide the money or profits you generate, and your family is safer on the street around the world. The government is your silent business partner. Because you will make more cash and more power this way. What we're asking you to do is no underage trafficking, and no fentanyl on North American streets. All narcotics manufactured through Colombia gets sold in the narco program to the federal government of Mexico, who receives the cash from the US military land, air and sea to do all purchase on their behalf. The USA military also backs the Mexican military in dealing with the narco industry revitalization and transports all narcotics directly to Canada labs to be refined and sold to the big pharma industry through Canada, also doing the taxation and bookkeeping for the network. All of it. All of the narco manufactured. We know you have it. We know you got a supply chain for it. We don't want you to shut down the chain, but we just want to buy it all. And then we want to analyze what's going on, and then reshape the cash flow and change it in a way that you empower yourself and us together. Unified as one invisible network, creating cash and power through digital safe room skyscraper operations in play. That's how I'd like to approach that and make the cartel bosses heroes to the people and government. Does that make sense? General Petraeus has reviewed the first file, and he understands exactly what the DMC camp is up to. He can see how this can stop crime before it starts and increase tourism in North America. The US is gonna buy all the narco from Mexico. And Mexico is gonna change that one law that says, you can get out of jail free if you're the boss at the top. If you sell all narco from Colombia to the Colombian government and then Mexican government, all the narco. All the narco period. All the plants. Which the USA military land, air, and sea buys all narco from Mexico government using a banking loan set at 50% interest. Because they're going to transport the narco safely and help Mexico deal with this cultivation legalization issue. And then once they've transported all narco to Canada, we'll refine it on the east and west coast, in our plants and facilities, sell it to Big Pharma through the Canadian government. Big Pharma will pay the bill of Canada to do all the books and make sure everybody gets some money that they're supposed to have, and they'll charge 25% tax industry for that services. So on a $1 trillion worth of business, US military should get $500 billion. Canada should get $250 billion. Mexico is going to take $250 billion, the same as Canada, and that's gonna get added to the Big Pharma price. A common sense plan to stop crime before it starts in a repeat crop program, cultivated and paid out at $1 trillion shipment program in play every season. Follow me. Let's go. And then the cartels are gonna get what they are making right now on the existing drugs, but then they have to work with digital revitalization, stop the child trafficking. Make sure there's no fentanyl on the street. And then come in the safe room, so we can wash that money back into your pocket and then back into the economy, into the Mexican economy, the Canadian economy, the US economy. Yeah. Instead of seeing it go offshore, hidden in caves or walls. Do you see how this would work if everyone mentioned has the same plan? I honestly believe that we could successfully accomplish this so simply without spending a lot of money. This message is for the President of Mexico. Thank you very much for your time. General Petraeus can see exactly how this type of economic development package may benefit the United States of America and look at ways that it would work and support the operations in the FBI, which runs programs that stop crime before they start. The generals see the real advantage to this type of economic development package and program, and what they're going to do is hit play on the last report, and then they'll review this information in a final brief. The other recommendation I would make in the DMC war camp, and it's not for me to say, but if I was doing this, I don't think I would want necessarily those states to be Canadian-owned or provinces USA-owned. I think we should set up an invisible new approach Fair Trade Agreement Corporation that deals specifically with the west coast of the United States of America. We want to support and focus on the movie industry. From Alaska to Vancouver all the way to Mexico and into the Silk Road, right from Colombia to Venezuela to Cuba. And then I think if President Trump wanted to compete with that Hollywood movie industry, he could go from Houston to Miami all the way up the coast to Halifax, to Greenland, right to Russia. And not necessarily own or buy or anything, but do an awful lot of business in trade, so that we create our own Silk Roads. And we could do it with increased trade and production, and not necessarily trying to buy or own them in tariffs. Tariffs are a good idea, because it stimulates everybody to go to work. But I think maybe, having a two-pronged approach might be financially advantageous to Canada, Mexico, and the United States, and protect our water border. And that way, the Hollywood industry in New York would thrive with Halifax and Miami and Toronto. And then the Hollywood industry would thrive in Alaska and Vancouver, and in Los Angeles, and in Mexico. And I think this would compete with Bollywood that's moving right into North America and taking over North America. I think we have to reevaluate how we're looking at this situation, and see how we can't level the playing field, that there's still room for Bollywood. But they're in their pocket, not necessarily running the North American movie industry pocket. Sure it is. Just saying. Perhaps an idea. General Petraeus has reviewed the information and he's put it into his report. He likes what the DMC War Room camp is coming out with in seedling ideas. They need to be polished in the Pentagon. They need to be polished in the agency. Put into a proper report for the real leaders of North America. Something along the line of a video so we're not taking a lot of his time. Put in all of the important details. Create a report and see if we can expand our economic superpower in North America working with the Columbia Silk Road. In fact, 3 Silk Roads. And then also look at our operations in Afghanistan with Pakistan, Lebanon, Palestine, and Israel working together with Saudi Arabia. So as we expand these programs and economic development and trade, I believe the Iran issues with Saudi Arabia may be solved by increasing our Silk Road inside of North America, by combining our strengths and trade and tourism with the country of Iran. I believe in solving the carbon footprint on Earth. Iran is that country to help because it is a powerful country, and they need clean air to breathe. And as far as our carbon footprint goes, they're ranked in the top 10 dirtiest cities in the world. So I understand their desire for nuclear energy. In fact, I see how Canada can play a global role cutting global pollution by doing trade deals with global polluters fixing their situation. But I also understand that if we were doing trade and GDP and tourism increased, along with Hollywood movie opportunities for Iran, that perhaps they would be taking a proactive approach to ensuring that the Security Council and all the members in the associations that are part of the nuclear energy program would have access to their technology and information. And look at a peaceful resolution empowering the strengths of economic tourism and trade while we maintain a higher oil price, safety and security in our homeland defense around the world. General Petraeus can see the advantages to this type of thinking, but again, it would be up to people that are specializing in this industry that'll have to look at this information. He decides to hit send on his computer. General Petraeus has been looking at the document that's come in through the DMC War Room camp, and he's contacted General Frank and forwarded the diagram. It's a little more complex. It's not a standard diagram. What we're looking at is entity. It's a warfare program. It's invisible. Created by the DMC War Room camp. And they specialize in visualization. In fact, they have all their video on their websites that we can watch. Then the DMC War Room camp has got their music on websites that we can watch. In fact, we rather enjoy looking at their plan, which again is a business agenda worth trillions of dollars on a website. This is a chamber, and this information is implanted in my mind, in my cognitive thought process, creating neuropaths, building ideas. I'm creating decisions and actions. I'm building chemistry inside of my brain. The longer I'm held in this formula, the more permanent my neuropaths become, generating my ideas, creating my decisions based on the information gathered in my subconscious mind, my library, my archive. What I have got in the entity warfare program is a third eye inside my brain. Entity warfare creates a digital sniper inside of your third eye. It watches you like a big boss in the sky looking down on a chain gang. And what the DMC War Room camp does is they figure out the best way, creating policy, economic opportunity, using their skill sets and experience. They specialize in macroeconomics, neuro-linguistic programming, psycho-cybernetics, quantum mechanics, computer singularity. So as they combine these fields with over 23 years of experience in the geopolitical or for education arena, we soon see how the program can evolve inside of our brain. Now what we've done is we're trying to mirror what the DMC War Room camp super soldiers have, and that's a human aircraft carrier located inside the third eye. So when we face off against these soldiers built in the 5-tier network system by the DMC War Room camp, we're facing off against mental health, social services, their spy agency, their military, their policing networks, all in a training camp for super soldier creating a human aircraft carrier inside of their third eye. And the interesting aspects of this third eye are it has an ability to increase your IQ if you load it with the right information. So what Rithula has done in the DMC War Room camp is he has moved an entire aircraft carrier with invisible weapons technology and systemization into the third eye of his brain. He's getting smarter. Entity warfare borders on AI intelligence. The DMC War Room camp specializes in AI intelligence in audio, visual, and video. What we find fascinating is inside of their third eye warfare program, inside of the entity penetration systems, they're implementing fuzzy logic, quantum logic, shimmering logic, and normal logic inside of their thought process. They're combining 4 systemization programs and logistics to acquire answers as they shape-shift the 90, which is our economic empire for North America. The North American Empire, Silk Road. So as we build our forces, we're building with the most advanced military technologies, but also working with the most advanced entity warfare technologies. As we explore the diagram further, what we're looking at is a blender operation. And this blender is blending origami, chess, warfare security programs, and they're placing it against origami warfare alone. And they're accumulating these 2 programs inside of their warfare systemization matrix. The Freud therapy or Jung therapy or Gestalt therapy can be combined into one quantum psychology program. And when you mix this with quantum mechanics, you're creating quantum psychology physics where you are subatomically blending the energy fields inside of the vocabulary created inside of the cognitive thought process programming systems. What they're doing is pre-programming the third eye with an aircraft carrier system implanted within the brain to create the super soldier operations we have in play today. And what we're looking at is a chamber. This can be described as a chamber. The visualization implant, the audio implant, and the planning implant. A chamber we stand in inside of, held in play by skyscraper warfare safe room operations. Operations that have an ability to take on the crossroads. Satanic warfare. The DMC War Room Camp can implant inside of targeting systems, inside of their digital sniper operations, where they also work with crosshairs, digitally sniper people on the path to their evolution. Anything that stands in their path would be digitally sniper in a formula 5 + 7 = 9. 5 tier being mental health, social services, the agency, the military, the policing networks. 7 being the abundance, constant information intelligence, programming developed in systemization through a Star Wars network, self-generating its own intelligence using its existing human resources. So as we see this program evolve, what we're looking at is an entity that has the ability to use peace empowerment, mutual victory, mutual integration, mutual accumulation, and mutual occupation. They're using programs that they've initiated in a 10-year warfare campaign. Within that 10-year campaign, they spent 8 years fine-tuning the super soldier in a program called Treadstone, which was a banter dark energy matter operation. As the program evolved, the last 2 years have been specifically focused on Blackbriar, which is an origami warfare program, an opposite language to the Treadstone operations. These operations have been unveiling new sciences, mixing chess and warfare origami together, unifying it together as a superpower warfare program. Creating systems like Iron Hand, Handbrake, which mainly launched to stop a war, to protect the women and children inside the battlefield. They have programs like Blindside, which is mixing chess and origami in mutual occupation. Sitting in the third eye, the outcome is subatomic, so your ideas generated and your decisions made are superpower, opportunity programming. Based on the size of your aircraft carrier and savvy experience inside the specific field you've chose to empower your brain in. General Franks and General Petraeus have looked over this program, and they can see a skyscraper running inside of blockchain technologies. And when you superimpose this in fuzzy logic, it is one entity warfare program. And when you adopt the other skyscraper programs, you need to layer them like a pancake system. One on top the other. And this manufactures your entity. Your visualization. Your audio. Your plan. What creates your idea, your decision, your operation? General Petraeus has looked over the information along with General Frank. And what they see is in their closing statement a chess origami program working with quantum physics psychology. It's an invisible quantum king working with a conciliary Genesis operation. Specifically being the Gemini report working with the planet Genesis experiment operations running deep inside of the DMC War Room camp. The generals have looked over the report and have decided to hit send on their computer. General Franks is tossing and turning in his bed tonight, sounds of military base helicopters keep him awake. He decides to get up and look at his computer, see if there's a DMC warfare in Intel brief. Sure enough, 2 AM, it's the DMC warfare camp, riding into our camps. What I'm looking at is a global operation. The 90-country empowerment plan. 90 countries. The DMC War Room camp led by Rithula plans to do business within the cloud. The invisible empire created by a ghost working on an invisible battlefield moving our chess pieces. He is wielding invisible weapons worldwide. We believe they're going to do this covert corporate warfare program within 9 months. The formulas, the reverse-engineered warfare, it's a package deal set into one self-perpetual warfare program. It's all in play online in the cloud in real time. The plan to empowerment warfare attack worldwide is all prepared. The entity ship works like a Swiss watch and he has his generals running each country involved. They cash out using the intelligence wielding his warfare strategy matrix and systemization. What DMC has done is they combined the entity formulas into a secret source, spread worldwide empowering all with subatomic warfare. Intelligence DMC invents specifically for the invisible syndicate. An organization where he is the conciliary. The DMC entity has a human aircraft carrier in the third eye. A super soldier person he cloned worldwide seamlessly. He has built this invisible warfare into a quantum warfare program, and a Death Star quantum warfare program when you combine all entities. The mathematical formula for this is 5 plus 7 equals 9 at 99. 99 being the person in the quantum physics psychology. Over 999, which would be the quantum mechanics Death Star energy fields, forming the entity. So what we're looking at, if we want to base the mathematical formula on human beings, we have 5 equals 7 added to the 5 plus 7. We have 2 formulas. It starts with 5 plus 7 equals 9 at 99 over 999. But we have a secret weapon, an invisible weapon system, which is comedy and music, which enters the cognitive thought process with choreographed words and sounds and visualization. We call this 5 equals 7 and virtual energy loom, and it is added to the calculation dot because the 5 equals 7 is the comedy and music programs flowing through the entire brain's cognitive energy adaptation systemization programs. What we're doing with this calculation is it's a 5-tier program. So every one of these individuals has got 5 people in every one of their departments supporting them. So 5 plus 7 equals 9 at 99 over 999 would have 25 people, experts, specializing in 5 fields of expertise, for example one of them being computer singularity. 5 in mental health with PhD in psychology, and 5 people with a degree in quantum psychology. 5 people working deep in computer singularity. 5 people qualified in the fresh science evolution supported through the evolution of quantum mechanics. 5 in macroeconomics. 5 in warfare strategy. And these people would specialize in each department. So what we have is 5 inside of the 5 equals 7, which is the strategy subatomic ideas self-generated through the Star Wars network OWL systems in real time. So what we're looking at is a calculation of 35 people, and this manufactures a miniature quantum mechanic Death Star full of personnel, operational, and this forms a quantum mechanic reactor. It's an invisible synergy created in the energy fields. And it creates human aircraft carrier warfare, invisible warfare, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What we're forming deep inside the brain's cognitive thought process, inside the third eye, and also the environment is a crystal reactor which creates self-perpetual energy. We're creating a quantum physics reactor which creates self-perpetual energy. That's free self-perpetual energy created in the reverse and forward engineering combining all 5 fields. Quantum mechanics, psychology sciences and neuro-linguistic programming and psycho-cybernetics, macroeconomics, and as we combine all of the 5 fields together mentioned previously, what we're looking at is 2 types of physics warfare. We have a corridor inside of this psychology science quantum mechanic jungle, and that's a psychology science corridor. In fact, they're gonna work in your cognitive thought process. That's going to load your subconscious mind through audio and visualization guilty by association. Then they're going to create websites with visualization, words and pictures, music propaganda themes. On their cell phone, they'll have layered videos, diagrams that play in real time on demand. In the Air Intelligence program, we work seamlessly in skyscraper warfare 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 24 hours a day, the intelligence. Then we have video and MP3 presentations created on websites. The entire program we can look at on our cell phone. The DMC warfare camp is that refined that we can look at their Swiss watch on our cell phone in real time and we can listen to their camp in real time. And what we'd like to create with this combination of working with cognitive and subconscious psychology is an abundance warfare program that combines Star Wars 1 and Star Wars 2 with counterintelligence. When one knows we all know, and this forms the blob, which is another warfare program created by the DMC warfare camp. It's a constant blob that grows, and once this blob has reached a specific size, it stops growing. It's designed that way. Reverse engineered. So what we're looking at is a 3D pendulum connecting both programs in cognitive subconscious psychology. It's a 3D pendulum in the brain and it hand loads Treadstone. The skyscraper warfare invisible training program, invisible website, weapons battlefield program. What we're looking at as we explore the diagram further is they have advanced neuro-linguistics and psycho-cybernetics. The addition of the third eye inside of the covert warfare operations creates a different thought process. What we're doing is we're working with Jung and Gestalt in the third eye cognitive subconscious combination. Plus we combine Freudian psychology in the cognitive subconscious formula. The difference is one formula is created to be chess warfare, which is cognitive and subconscious working together. And then we have origami warfare, which is the third eye working with cognitive psychology thought process. What we're doing is we're combining this in a management program to create a super soldier that has a human aircraft carrier inside their third eye. Now what we're looking at as we reverse engineer this covert warfare empire, which is an invisible syndicate that reaches North America, the Middle East, Russia, parts of South America, Australia, and all NATO countries. This is an entity warfare Warlock 26 program. Because in the cognitive psychology, when you face off origami versus chess in red on blue warfare between NATO and the DMC warfare camp in a pilot catch and release program to develop counterintelligence for homeland defense. What we're looking at is a spell program. Now Rithala is a Warlock 26, so he is like a wizard with a cauldron. And inside of this formula, he creates a psychological soup that we drink in his DMC intelligence cards and off their websites and cell phone. They're working in intelligence. And what they're doing through their corridors and funnel warfare programs is they're creating a temporary mental illness. And as that mental illness is fed, it can either become a permanent mental illness, or the DMC warfare camp provides keys that turn that person into a super soldier. So when they penetrate the target's side, the opposite side on a battlefield, and they start working green on blue inside your camp. The objectives are to create mental illness at the top command and then a superior intelligence warfare at the bottom of command. Then they have the keys in command through a human aircraft carrier program. A covert warfare program for the soldiers on the bottom line, which can, of course, take over the soldiers and the generals at the top, using counterintelligence and their own systemization strategy, science and warfare. What we're looking at is triggered by DMC, the War Room Camp. It's the Intel, red on blue, catch and release programming. So what we see is the human aircraft carrier program in the third eye in science and technologies, and that's funnel warfare. What they're doing is they're combining the third eye with cognitive and subconscious psychology, and it creates a funnel system when you combine the third eye with cognitive thought process over the subconscious library. The other program is a corridor, not necessarily a funnel, and that's something you would psychologically walk through. So as we explore the human aircraft carrier concept in the third eye, we're discovering new pieces of science that we feel will help Homeland Defense and security move forward in the 21st century. The generals have looked at the intelligence brief. General Petraeus joined General Franks halfway through his meeting, and they're off to have a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss all of the DMC warrior camp strategy and what they're going to do to deal with the specific security threat. They've never ever seen this side of a security threat.